Do you really know what the path to the NHL is? What is your path? Today we're going to find out how you can make your path to the NHL. We're also going to look at plays out of the corner, give and go down low. Should you use the RVH, the VH, the overlap? We're going to address that in detail today. But first of all, let's talk about goaltending responsibility. We're going to find out if you're the type of goaltender that can accept responsibility and everything that goes with playing the most important position in all of sports. One of the first tenets of great goaltending with respect to accepting responsibility is understanding you have to have tough skin. You can't be easily offended, you can't be easily embarrassed, and you have to have what I call an impermeable membrane between you, the athlete, and you, the human being. As an athlete, you're almost like a professional mercenary. Nothing affects you emotionally, nothing affects you socially. You are an elite athlete, nothing affects you. You can't let that translate over across that impermeable membrane or it'll affect you personally. So the first element of responsibility for goaltenders is having tough skin. Now, how is that manifested? Quite simply, how you react on the ice. When you get a couple goals against, are you going to be losing your crap, banging sticks, palms up, blaming other people? You, as a goaltender, have to accept the responsibility that comes with playing the most difficult position in all of sports. It's not for everyone, and quite frankly, most goalies get weeded out because they can't take the tough skin part about being a goaltender. You can't take things personally. This next element of accepting goaltending responsibilities goes for both the parents and the goaltenders. You have to accept blame, and you can't be pointing fingers at other people. Of course, D are going to screw up. Of course, the coach might not do what needs to happen with your goaltending. You can't be pointing fingers and you can't be blaming other people. We all know what goes on in the car ride home. You'll lose 5-2 and your parents will be telling you how it was the defense's fault, the screen, they weren't clearing your rebounds. But I stress to this, to parents and goalies, don't be pointing fingers at other people. Take goaltending responsibility yourself and don't be a pointing the fingers guy. Another element of goaltending responsibility is wanting to make a difference and accepting the challenge. A big save, a timely save, that's your responsibility. A timely save is simply one that's made when the game's on the line. We all know goalies that can make amazing saves in an 8-2 loss, but nobody cares about big saves, great saves when the game's out of control. You know what they care about? They care about Grant Fuhr type saves. Grant would give up 5-6 goals a game, but when the game was on the line, he made a big save when it really mattered. And that's the key to accepting goaltending responsibility. Are you going to be able to accept the fact that you do need to make big saves? You welcome the chance to make big saves when it actually matters in the crucial elements of the game. Another part about goaltending responsibility is understanding you have to bail the team out. They're going to make mistakes. That's why they have a goalie. So you can't be upset at them for making mistakes. That's why you're there. One key tenet with accepting this part of responsibility is outperforming the goaltender at the other end. There's many times in the game where one goalie can carry the team to victory because they've outperformed the other team's goaltender, and that's the guy you want to be. You're always mindful of trying to take the responsibility of outperforming the guy at the other end. And I think for me as a scout, one of the biggest elements of assessing a goalie's responsibility is their body language. Do they have swagger? Do they have confidence? Do they avoid the key pitfalls that many goaltenders get into when they're getting scouted? Do you have bad body language? When your team leaves you out to dry, are you a palms up guy looking at your defense because they deflected one in on you, banging sticks, carrying on, having emotional control issues? So show your emotional intelligence. Accept the responsibility of being a goaltender and everything that goes with it. It's a high reward position and it's a high failure position, and a lot of people can't accept the responsibilities of being a goaltender. So goalies and parents, understand this is the nature of the beast and ask yourself the question, are you ready to accept the true responsibility of being a goaltender?
Hunter's gonna give me the puck. I'm gonna give it back to him as he's heading towards the net, okay? So you've got two options on this drill here. You can go back to the post on your feet and then end up in a VH, or you can slide back into the post and end up in the RVH, okay? Once he gets that puck close to the net here, he's got three options. Option one, step out front and get a quick shot. Option two, fake that step out, wrap, okay? Option three is he can take it and walk all the way across the front of the net. He's not gonna do that one as often, but it is still an option, okay? So you gotta know that it's available as well, okay? So the two that he's gonna do most often are step out or the wrap, but every once in a while he could cut all the way across the front of the net, okay? Fine, yeah. I'm here, yeah. So he's gonna give it to me, I'm gonna give it back to him on that line. Oh. Find it. Good. Stay with it. Hey, right away. So good first save, right? Then you got to move quick. Got to move quick. Stay with it. Good. Stay with it, stay with it. You gotta go a little more laterally there, right? So he's coming across the front, you can't go out. Unless he's moving out here in the middle of the slot, then you can get depth. But if he's just going across the front here, you have to go laterally, not out. Otherwise he's gonna have room to tuck it around you on the far side. Good, two more. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yep.
All right, what's the path to the NHL? I get asked this all the time. How do you get to the NHL? How does this actually happen? What's the functions? Like, what level do you play at? If my kid's not playing AAA, at this age, what does that mean? My kid's 5'8", what does it mean? So today we're going to talk a little bit about the path to the NHL. So, Jason, when you're looking at a young athlete, I've often get parents say to me, you know, does my kid have a chance? And they're obviously meaning, does my kid have a chance to play in the NHL? Because that's what I wanted when I was a kid. That's what you wanted. We all want that, to play in the NHL. But when you look at a young kid, what would you tell a parent? What are you looking for when you see 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids? And what's it going to take to get to the NHL?
There's really no way to answer that as a young kid, right? Yes, they've got some good technique. Yes, they look great. Yes, they're playing AAA hockey. Great. But so are a ton of other kids at that age. It's going to be how much commitment he puts in down the road, how much commitment he puts in every year into his training, his off-ice training, his mental side of the game, his studying, film, his breakdown. And I can't tell you that by just watching your kid on the ice for a couple hours. So it's a question that we don't want to push them towards that and give them super high hopes. We also don't want to crush anybody's dreams either. So we try and give them advice on how they can be the best that they can be right now and what they need to do to move up a level for the next year or two. And as long as they're consistently playing at the highest level and moving up those levels on a consistent basis, you've got a chance.
Right. I think at the end of the day, the question itself reveals the issue. You shouldn't be playing with the sole purpose of trying to play in the NHL because honestly, you'll be sorely disappointed. Can it happen? Yes. But it's like saying I'm going into the variety store buying a lottery ticket. Am I going to be sorely disappointed if I don't win the lottery tonight? No. The odds aren't great, but you can increase the odds, you can improve the odds, you can help your chances along the way. One thing that I did recently was I reread a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers. And there's a lot of stuff in there. And one of the key takeaways is in all disciplines in life, computer programmers, elite athletes, successful business people, there's the 10,000 hour rule, which I believe. I look at my career, my development to make the NHL, and I would say it's pretty accurate. And what it dictates is to get your craft as a goaltender to the point where it's pro ready, takes about 10,000 hours to master. And if you break that down, you have a development window of about 10 years as an athlete, say from the ages of 10 to 20. And in that, you got to put 1,000 hours of development in every year to master your craft. That works out to about 3 hours, 4 hours a day on a 5-day week. So look at yourself right now. Are you putting that type of work into your game? It doesn't have to be 4 hours of private lessons. It could be an hour of mental rehearsal. It could be an hour of off-ice training. It could be an hour on the ice. But it might get a little bit more intense the older you get. But in that 10-year development window, if you don't get 10,000 hours in, you're just going to be in the middle of that bell curve. So if you truly want to play in the NHL, I think a good starting point would be start digging in now. And the people that make it don't work harder than you. The people that make it work much harder than you. And you control that.
I think you brought up a good point there too. It's not all about being on the ice as well, right? Those 10,000 hours don't have to be 10,000 hours on the ice. If I'm not getting 10,000 hours in on the ice, I'm not going to make it to the NHL.
Right.
There are so many other aspects to being a pro athlete that a lot of people don't understand. And being on the ice is great, and you need that on the ice private lessons, camps, clinics, whatever, to increase your skill on the ice. But you also have to be putting in the work off the ice.
Right.
You also have to be putting in the work studying game film, right? And studying what makes a goalie a good goalie, studying plays and reads, and working on your mental game, those aspects as well. Because you have to be strong in a bunch of different aspects of your game in order to be a well-rounded athlete. It can't just be on the ice all the time, and I'm going to make it.
I think another controversial topic along this, there's two prongs to this, and I'll go back to the Outliers book again for a second. And if you look at the most elite athletes in the NHL, Major Junior Division I, there's a disproportionate amount of kids born in the January, February, March, April range early in the year, just because of the way they do age groupings in minor hockey. Now, if you accept that's the fact, and you can look it up, it doesn't mean if you're late birthday you can't make it. It means recognize that you're not an early birthday, so you better be doing exceptional stuff to be better than those kids that were born in the first part of the year. It's a real thing. And the second topic that comes up is, well, my son's only going to be 5'10". Yes, the average height of an NHL goalie is 6'2", and in the OHL it's 6'1". Now, if your kid hears this height thing and says, I don't want to try anymore, I quit, well, that's proving something. It doesn't mean you can't play when you're 5'10". UC Saros has. There's lots of smaller goalies that have done it. I just want you to be advised of the way it is. Smaller goalies have a much, much harder way to get to the NHL. It can happen. It just means you're going to need much, much more effort, development, and excellence.
Yeah, those outliers are most of the time extremely hard workers. They put the time in, they put the work in, and they make sure that if somebody's going to have an intangible that's better than me, I have to outwork that intangible. So it's possible, but it's an outlier for a reason. It's if it were equal to everybody, then there would be an equal number of every size goalie in the NHL and everywhere else in the world. It's those outliers typically work much harder to get where they need to go.
So that's a controllable. So the takeaway from this is you can outwork taller goalies, and you can outwork goalies that were born earlier in the year. Now,